Hello and welcome into Looking Up with Laird here on Sorare TV. I'm Andrew Laird. You can find me as Lairdinho on Sorare. Joined once again by Harry Trade, Sam Tighe, to add 4 new names to the Looking Up with Laird Sorare data watch list. Gentlemen, I completely ignored that last week we added the 100th player to our watch list.
Wow.
Jorginho Rutter, whatever we're calling him. Rutter, all right. He was the 100th player on the list. Thank you to the 303 people who have subscribed to that watch list, and we'll get the names of who we discuss today before the video comes out, although we're recording this on the day it usually comes out, so better act quickly. But yeah, nice milestone for us, and what we're going to do today to celebrate is just literally add 4 more names to the list. That's all. Sam, you are at the top of the video, so why don't you kick us off?
Sure. I want to start with a question, though. Did Rutter pay us back with a decisive to cap the milestone?
Well, of course he did.
Yes. Lovely
yes,
stuff.
there is.
There we go.
It would have just been rude not to.
Yes, he understood the assignment. Nice one, Jorginho. Loved it. A better day for that Jorginho than the other one. Jesus. Okay, let's go for a couple more. And I'm going to go. I haven't actually figured out who I'm going to go first with. Yeah, let's go with one of Harry's players.
Wow.
I think. Benoit Badiashile.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Still got him?
I do still have him. Yeah.
Good news, buddy. Things are looking up for Benoit Badiashile.
I believe I was with Harry like a few days after he got that card.
Yeah.
I think when we met in Orlando was like right after.
Didn't I buy it off somebody? Didn't I buy it off Phantom? Yeah, it was, wasn't it?
Yes.
It was. And I was like, I just bought a card off somebody that... No. Did I meet him first and then buy the card off him second, if that makes sense? Oh, did he? I don't know what came first, the Badiashile or the Phantom. Who knows?
That's not how the old adage goes. Oh dear. Anyway, he's coming back very soon. He's been back in sort of partial training for a couple of weeks, which usually means on the grass on your own. So the next step would be team training, and then the next step there would be back into the team. And as Harry will attest to, it was a difficult time with Badiashile back half of last season because he basically played really well every time he played, but Chelsea sometimes seemed to have other ideas. It wasn't always particularly clear why. They appeared to want to prioritise maybe Wesley Fofana once he'd returned from injury, but of course he's injured again. They didn't feel they could drop Thiago Silva. This summer, they bought Disasi, they kept Chalobah. There is competition, but I don't know about you guys, and I'm trying not to overreact, but I'm starting to see a few cracks in the Thiago Silva suit of armor, which is, I think, a very sad moment, very sad moment. But the way Watkins ran him up the channel and beat him, and then beat him again en route to a goal at Stamford Bridge last weekend, it just occurred to me that that's not necessarily the old Thiago Silva. And I've seen a couple of people suggest the same thing. So I'm just wondering, given that Disasi hasn't been that great, and the fact that Fofana is injured, if Badiashile is going to step back into this team here, because he's certainly a centre-back Pochettino will like. And while Chelsea are the butt of every joke right now in terms of their position in the table, they're playing pretty well. They just can't really score any goals. They've got the second highest average possession per game in the Premier League at about 62%. There's a really good opportunity for someone like Badiashile to step in, make the place his own again, and then obviously benefit from all of that possession to rack up all of those on-ball actions, all that AA. And it's not like they're terrible defensively. That when they lose 1-0. So they're in games. I can't believe we talk about Chelsea like this. It feels so alien, but they're a good team, and you shouldn't be scared of their players. I mean, you should be scared of their forwards, obviously, but you shouldn't be scared of their other players. And Badiashile is, I think, coming into a situation very soon where he goes back into the team. So I'd be looking at this. Because the price, well, I don't think it reflects the quality.
So is it the expectation that the 3 of them rotate 2 spots every game, or that he is the one who stays and Disasi and Thiago Silva rotate, or?
Yeah, I mean, hard to say. And obviously people getting injured here and there will inform it. But, as everybody keeps saying, like, Silva is, like, he is old. He presumably cannot continue to play every single game. And I just don't think Disasi has been particularly good. Like, I think Chelsea's strongest fit and available centre-back pairing in a couple of weeks' time will be Badiashile and Silva. And if he can't play every game, I would rotate him in with Disasi. Basically, what I'm saying is I think Badiashile should start every game because he's brilliant. He's never done anything wrong for Chelsea, and the case is clear to be made. Now, whether or not he does every game or starts working into the rotation and then wins it from there, I don't know. But he's been back in training for a couple of weeks and there's been no spike. And I look at the price and I just look at it and you say to yourself, is that something I'd go for? Internally, you always know the answer immediately. And for me, the answer is yes.
I think it's one of those situations where it probably not even spikes, but starts to move as soon as he's on the bench. And people are like, I don't think people do enough research where you say, you just look at Sorare and you're like, all right, he hasn't even made the squad yet. It's like, oh, when he makes the squad, then I'll buy. And I think people do that. And then when he starts, we'll see like that even bigger bump. But yeah, I think that's the only reason is that they're not people who are going to the Chelsea website or Twitter account and looking at training photos and seeing if he's there. But
I am.
That's why people watch this show, Sam, so that you can scour the training photos. But Harry, you obviously must be a fan of Badiashile since you at one, pre-injury you bought the card. It was pre-Chelsea though too, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was at Monaco. Yeah, I mean, it's not a worry, but like, where does Ruben Colwill fit into this then? Because Colwill obviously being a left-footed centre half, similar to Badiashile is. Obviously, Thiago Silva, Disasi, both right-footed. I know Chilwell's injury now, apparently another hamstring injury. So, is it Colwill left back, and that's just kind of it for now? And
yeah, we'll see. Your Welsh is showing through there. You called him Ruben Colwill there. You mean Levi?
Did I? Yeah, sorry, Ruben.
Yeah.
I watched highlights of him last night against Blackburn.
Yeah. There's two Colwills. Easy mistake to make. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, for some reason he's been playing at left back, and to be fair, Chelsea have played the majority of this season in something approaching a back three with Chilwell at left wing. Now Chilwell's injured as well. Obviously, they've got a lot of injuries. I don't know what's going on over there. But there's plenty of different shapes they can use, plenty of different opportunities, and plenty of injuries for him to take advantage of in the same way that others have been taking advantage of his so far.
Yeah, it's a good point. Very good point. But he's great on like you said, if they've got the most, was it second most possession in the league or first?
Yeah, it's like 62.3 and City are like 62.9 or something. They're very close.
And I think Badiashile's, his best qualities are on the ball, to be honest. Like, he's a decent defender, but I don't think he's like exceptionally good at defending as he is like on the ball. I feel like his left foot's just, he's a very similar player to Cole, I would say, in that sense. But Cole's a little bit more aggressive, maybe is probably the best word. I think Badiashile's quite reserved and I don't know, he's so big and like he doesn't really need to be too aggressive. Do you get what I'm saying? Like he can kind of just get away with things.
But I think his defensive fundamentals are very sound, and I think he defends the box and he defends space very, very well. For such a young player, I'm actually very impressed with how he gauges the scenarios around him. So, in that respect, I think he's probably better than Colwill. But Colwill is actually perfect on the ball. So there's the split. But yeah, whichever way it shapes out, I can see opportunities coming up for him pretty much immediately, and I just think he's excellent. I told you guys, I nearly pumped Eric Garcia in this segment because he's picked up a good role at Girona, but I think Eric Garcia sucks, so I basically just couldn't bring myself to do it and decided to replace him with a player I actually believe is very, very good and can sit here with a straight face and tell you this player is worth buying because he is a good player. Eric Garcia is not a good player. I can't sit here and do that, but Badiashile's fine.
I love that.
I love that. It was a combination of you literally asked us earlier today if you should buy Garcia, and now you've gone to I'm not going to buy him. He's rubbish, and I won't even talk about him.
Yeah.
I love it.
Crazy day.
Mr. Trades, who you got today?
So we're going to the French second division, and we're going to have a little look at Benjamin Bashwari. I think is how I'm going to pronounce it. There he is, behind Bougie Goat.
Look at all that.
I should have known Saint Etienne when I saw Sam getting all excited.
Yeah.
So look at that. 2 Saint Etienne players just under each other on the looking up with Laird watch list. But no, I mean, a player that actually won his rare card a little while ago, decided to sell him / trade him off because he went through a patch last season towards the end where he was just in and out and scores just weren't great, to be honest. Over the summer, there was actually a lot of talk because I kept seeing a super rare on the market for like really cheap. And I was just like, why is this kid? Like, I know he's a really good player. Okay, the scores might not match right now, but whatever. And the rumors was like he was going to leave. Like it didn't feel like he was going to stay at Saint Etienne. After the post summer, and he decided to do so for whatever reason. It kind of at one point, I don't know if we mentioned him on looking up Sam but Amin Mufek. I know you're obviously a big fan, Sam.
You've done Mufek for sure.
Did I do Mufek?
Yeah.
So like he was kind of in before Bashwari was, and it was just like one or the other type of thing. But Benjamin's basically started every single game, bar the first game where he got 20 AA off the bench, and has just looked really, really solid. Like his AA has been very consistent, bar one game. Saint Etienne, in that same vein of kind of gone on a bit of a run. They're unbeaten in 5. And, things are just looking pretty decent. Okay, he doesn't have those peaks that we love to see. But, he is capable of scoring goals and getting assists. If you look further down on, they're not very frequent, but it happens. Like, you're not buying a player that, you're going to expect a DA every game off. That's just, he's not Jude Bellingham. Like, we're paying $8 for a limited here. Like, it's just, where we're at, right? And I don't know. I just think there's definitely the potential for him to be a scorer of an 100 score at some point. You'd have to be quite patient with him, but I think he's just a very decent footballer. Like he just does a bit of everything. He gets his defensive action. Seems to get involved in the double doubles and the triple triples quite frequently, and he's always sort of pushing forward and kind of trying to make things happen. Yeah, obviously the assists and stuff haven't happened yet, but what are we 6-7 games into the season? We've got to have a little bit of patience. But for the price, for a midfielder under 23 that can score 30 AA, on a consistent-ish basis, I think he has to, he definitely makes the cut.
Sam, you know anything about this guy?
Yeah, for my sins, I've watched a fair bit of Saint Etienne over the last year. Due to owning 4 or 5 or 6 of their different players. Bashwari is actually one I've never owned, but kind of always wanted. I know at least 3 people that have won him as a reward and sold him. Sometimes there's just a card in your life that you just see being won by your friends as a reward over and over again. And you're like, does everyone win this? But it's just one of those weird little quirks. So yeah, I know a few people that have sold him, and I bet almost all of you, including Harry, kind of regret selling him because, putting up really solid scores. When he doesn't play, I'll put it this way, when he doesn't play, Saint Etienne have a really tough time connecting the midfield into the attack. And when he does play, because of his lovely little turning circle, brilliant on the ball, really neat footwork and ability to turn out of pressure and feed a pass, he sort of connects the team from back to front much more cleanly than anybody else does. Now, Moefek can also do that, the aforementioned, but apparently he tried to leave in the summer and has been benched ever since. So it's currently this guy's role, and he's absolutely nailing it at the moment. The last 3-4 games, Saint Etienne have been really good. He's been a massive part of that. I wish I had one.
I feel like this hasn't happened in a while, but I'm going to bring it up. His L15 is pretty low for a player that's scoring in the 70s. No, I'm serious. Like 47, and he's got a number of like these sub appearances at the end of last season that are going to stick around and beginning of this season. That it should stay low for a while until he becomes, completely worthless as a player when he's got an L15 at 55, and nobody would ever want to play a card like that.
So the sub appearances at the end, like, I don't know exactly what happened because it's obviously very tough for a non-French speaker to follow exactly what's going on with a second division French club. And Saint Etienne is so strange that it's just weird anyway. But from the look of it, they obviously went down, and then they spent quite big in January because it looked like they were going to go down again, which is when we started talking about them. I think their wage bill was pretty damn high by the end of the season. And they floated a number of players to go onto the market to be like, we can't afford to keep all of these players. If any of you would like to go, then, let's have a look. And a fair few of them did want to go, but obviously, like with Southampton, we've talked about it before, not everybody goes. Not everybody leaves. And so maybe his substitute appearances at the end of last season were just, they thought he was off. And then it turned out he wasn't. Now he's back in. That could easily be the explanation.
Yeah, I guess sometimes it is just as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it. And as somebody who has been buying some Saint Etienne limited cards recently.
Yes, you've been copying me.
I have. Started with Dual End, and now I just buy everything that you buy.
Well, yeah, mixed success rates. But I noticed the last on a Petro double, which is what I run. Yes, indeed. Okay. My next card. This one I'm very intrigued by.
Eric
Sergey...
Garcia.
No! Can you imagine that after that foul-mouthed rant earlier? Sergey Sampa.
Ooh.
Remember him?
Mm.
I mean, you guys will probably know more about what he's done over the last 6 years than I do. But what
Andorra was not going to be on my guesses of where he was right now.
No, not at all. But things are really looking up for him for sure. I mean, if you just look at basically what's happened in the last, over the course of the first bit of the season, he's joined Andorra from Vissel Kobe, who's obviously out in Japan for ages, tore his ACL, missed a year, missed, like, if you go to all time on the score, like, he missed a lot of games. I mean, that is literally like 380 days worth of ACL injury, which explains why, obviously, when he first joined FC Andorra, they'll work him in a little bit more slowly, bench, 2 minutes off the bench, 2 minutes off the bench, and then 2 on the subs. He's obviously taken the starting mantle here for the last couple of games. That last game in particular against Sporting Gijón is an absolute whopper on AA. He's playing at the base of a midfield 3. For anyone that doesn't know Sampa, he's one of about 10 players over the last 10 years that was heralded as the next Sergio Busquets at Barcelona. Shock horror, he was not the next Sergio Busquets. No one ever is. He went over to Vissel Kobe to play with Andres Iniesta and I think Bojan and a few others. Like, it was a bit of a Barca cohort, wasn't it? But basically the original Inter Miami Tres Grandes.
Iniesta was perfect.
Iniesta, definitely. I mean, he was there for ages and stuff, and then obviously I think he had some good scores in Japan. I mean, I really wasn't tracking him in Japan, but like, I think his scores were pretty decent. And if you put him at the heart of possession play, he's a very, very capable midfielder in that respect. Now, dropping into the second division in Spain, I can foresee a bit more of this for sure at age 28. And particularly if you just take into account the fact that Andorra are the club owned by Gerard Piqué, Barca legend. And so, from a top-down standpoint, they are playing the Barca style of play. And if they've decided to pick Sergey Sampa up, bring him home and stick him at the base, well, then I'm not surprised he just pumped out a 76 or whatever it was. That will happen again and again if you have him at the heart of that style, if that's what the club are preaching, if that's what they want. Sorry, 71.7. My mistake.
He was 1 interception away from a triple-double, too.
Ooh. Tough. Yeah. So, to borrow a phrase from Mr. Trades, I've put my money where my mouth is. I've bought his super rare.
Wow. I wasn't expecting that.
Let's go.
Go on.
Super rare. It was there was a couple on the market. One was Pavel's. As he was churning out this 71.7, and I just looked at all of the facts and just went, you know what? Let's do it. Let's just do it. And so I did it. So I think it's quite cheap, really. Obviously, if he keeps hitting 72s, then what I just paid is incredibly cheap. Just been reminted for Andorra, so nice smiley face in that lovely blue kit. Actually, I've got to say that is a lovely kit. Not that should influence your purchase, but that is a lovely kit. And I'm quite excited about what Sampa might do back in Spain. He's spent a long time away from that country, but he's back. I think he's in a situation that should suit him.
I think that's like the perfect looking up player. Really everything about that is exactly what this show is about. I am also absolutely shocked he's 28. I would have guessed like 35. It feels like if you told me he spent 30 years in Japan, I would have believed you.
Is that because of his photo or?
No, I just feel like he's been around long enough where I'm just like, yeah, he must be old by now. And yeah.
Well,
that's crazy. Actually,
he's one of those guys that sort of, when you break through at Barca, you break through at 17, don't you? That's when you get the hype from 17. So you start really early. You think of like Munir, Sampa, all sorts of guys, De La Feu, like all those guys. It's all the same, and so they feel like they've been around forever, and they're never older than 28. It's a really weird phenomenon.
We just stopped counting at 28.
Oh dear, yeah, it's really weird. The L15 is great at the moment. Obviously, it probably won't. If all goes to plan, it won't last because there's only 4 scores on that L15, and one of them is a 71.7. So we'll see on that one. But I'm looking forward to this one. I've got really high hopes for this card.
So it's actually going to take a while because like these will count. Like as long as he was signed with Kobe, like it's going to take a while for these DNPs to come off the L15. So it should be a while. As somebody who's not super familiar with the league, what are Andorra's promotion prospects?
I'm not honestly sure because the league is crackpot. But they're okay. They're an okay team. They're not terrible. They're not brilliant. Oh yeah, look, bang in mid-table. Literally 11 of 22. They're okay. They're fine. There's nothing to worry about here in terms of like a relegation. I'm not setting my sights as high as a promotion run, although you never know. From my experience with Granada last year in the league, Andorra are okay. I can't offer much more than that.
What's funny is that you said there's nothing to worry about, and I thought you were going to say about being promoted, and you were like about relegation, and I was like, no. I mean, sure, we have to worry about that, but you also definitely don't want promotion. Like,
true, yeah. My entire Granada collection is completely useless now. So yeah, I mean that's about as safe as you can possibly go between no utility whatsoever and your cards are rubbish. Just stay in 11th. It's the middle lane.
It's exactly where you want them. Yeah, I love it. Maybe high scoring too, just to make sure that that you can get your fantasy points. All right, I love it. Mr. Trades, how about for player 104 on our list?
So this player isn't going to live up to Sam's Sergey Sampa as far as like I want to buy that card goes. I don't think, because what we're going to see here is some very bleak scores, but we're going to go with Camelin Suleimana.
You're not a very good salesman.
The super irony of this is that like you're not going to want to buy this card. I just bought this card.
Well, we all own him, so like, what can we do? Like, no, the thing is, like, if I'm watching this series and that Sergey Sampa is back from injury and stuff, I'm gonna want to buy a card like that over buying somebody like Suleimana, whose situation right now is unclear. And we know, as we've played Sorare for a little while, patience is one of those things that one is hard to sort of hone as a skill, I guess. And two, not many people bother like trying to get better at it, and like it's a weird one. Like, would you go buy Suleimana as your main forward right now? No, of course you're not going to. You need to have other forwards to supplement, and take that risk. But he's a player for me that, I mean, he is really, really good, is like the bottom line. Like, he's a very good winger. Obviously, Southampton are dire right now from, mainly defensively, I would say. Like, they're scoring goals here and there, not a crazy amount, but it's not as if like they're losing 4-0 every game. Right now, their defense seems, or they just can't defend for whatever reason, right? Penalties here, error led to goals there, whatever it is. And I'm feeling that full effect with Bazunu. But the issue for Suleimana is he has competition, in those winger spots. Like, there's some decent players. Samuel Edozie is maybe, some people might know on Sorare, under 23. He's a midfielder card, but, plays as a winger. And you've got him. Ryan Fraser's come back, and the manager seems to like him for whatever reason, hasn't played football, it feels like, in 3 years. And I think Suleimana falls into the category of, like, he was probably one of the ones that thought he was going to leave, right? So it's probably been quite hard on him, you know, compared to some of the ones that might have kind of known they were going to stay, maybe like an Adam Armstrong, for example. But I think he's good enough. I don't know, it doesn't matter what I think really, but he's definitely good enough to play and start for Southampton. The problem is he has to come in and make an impact to warrant that. And I'm definitely not saying it won't happen, because I think it will at some point. When that point is, who knows, you know? But I think there's a serious player in here, especially for the Championship, with the amount of pace he has, and you could have that, like, the Championship Doku effect in a weird way, because he is, well, I mean, just the way he would gain points. I think, he would, the take-ons and the contest won, even though we don't know how they created, but duels won, and all those fun things that accumulate to a forward score on Sorare, as do DAs. And it's one of them where you get, I can't tell you, and no one's gonna be able to tell you other than him, when this is going to turn around, I guess.
He doesn't know.
Well,
only Russell Martin knows the answer to this question.
I don't think Russell knows either, to be fair. But utilities. There's so many games in the Championship. I think at some point he's going to get a run of games, and I think he's going to become electric, and that's going to help Southampton, obviously, right? And help him and us on Sorare. When that's going to happen, who knows? But for me, if you can be patient, there's definitely a player in there. Obviously, that red card thing, wasn't a red card. Well, it was, but it got rescinded, so he's fine now. A couple of substitute appearances. Like, he's not coming on for 10 minutes. Like, they're giving him decent minutes off the bench. I know that's not too much to read into, but it's better than coming on for 5 minutes. They clearly know, there's a player in there. I've seen and it was training, but there was some training clips that Southampton put out, and he was just doing things that, like, he just looks incredible. Like, he just does. And, go on.
I love that he's coming into the show now, is that the two of you are grinding training clips and photos to see who's playing.
yeah, we do. I think he'll start this weekend.
Wow.
Yeah, I think.
Look at Laird's face.
I think the moment is coming. I mean, like, it's my guess, but I think he'll start this weekend. It's coming really soon. Like it Harry, you've overcomplicated it ever so slightly, I think. Is this a very simple exercise? Is he too good for the Championship? Yes. That's literally the question and the answer. And so Suleimana is stuck at Southampton until at least January. Mm-hmm. They're going to need to play this guy because he's electric. Now, I know he has competition and they don't want to step on Edoze's toes too much, but this is the best winger at the club, isn't it? So...
yeah. But then I know, like the experts in the Sorare community, I've got Fraser down at 90% this weekend. They've got Suleimana behind Edoze, who's at 30, and then you've got Armstrong at 60. So, like, there's competition. There's four wingers there. I know Armstrong.
But you're not going to put Suleimana on a high percentage until it's kind of see it to believe it.
Of course. No, for sure.
But this is going to happen at some point because he's the best winger at the club.
Mm-hmm. But do you not think somebody like a Fraser, who's probably obviously played Championship football before, kind of knows the league? Like, I can see why Russell Martin's going to trust that over a Suleimana in a weird way.
While the pressure's on, that is a fair point. If they can free themselves up a little bit from getting pelted, then maybe the argument does start to change. I guess either way, what we're trying to say is, like, stock is low right now on Suleimana, but, like, I mean, I'm maybe being a bit more optimistic than you, but, like, I think within the next 15 days he'll be off and running. Maybe you think it's more like a month. I don't know. Either way, if you wait a month, you ain't going to get in.
Could be too late. Yeah. It feels like he's rock bottom right now, right?
He's actually one of, like, 5 cards I don't have for my Southampton collection. So I should hang on a minute. I'm just going to buy one.
I didn't realize you didn't have one.
We've got about 6 hours before this video goes out, so you better.
Yeah, I need to do that now.
So it is kind of a weird situation, though, that he is either A, too good for the Championship, but B, too unreliable for them to play, because obviously their expectation is to win promotion, and if they don't feel like they can rely on him to help them get there, how does he fit? Like, I know we just talked about like he should play, but is there this thought in the championship of we can't take risks with a player like this because we need every point we can get?
No, I don't. You're right. It's a strange conversation, but how do I put this? The question, the talent isn't in doubt, and I don't think playing Suleimana is a risk, and I don't think it's from Southampton's perspective. I don't think they see it as that. I think what sort of Harry's sort of pointing at is like they're really under pressure right now. Russell Martin is being memed by the fan base to the point where he's like potentially in trouble. In that situation, what do managers tend to do? They tend to default back to players with experience who they know won't let them down. That's Ryan Fraser. Right. It's not Camelin Suleimana. So maybe there's the argument that until the storm blows over, Fraser over Suleimana. But once the sky's clear, am I really going to go for this whole thing? And the waters become less choppy, and you can start to look at, stop worrying about that and start worrying about, trying to fix this. Suleimana's right there. And he's the best winger at the club.
So let me take that a step further. Are they playing him, or is the desire to play him more built around selling him in January than Suleimana helping them win points now? Not that it matters, because either way you want him to play. But
I don't know, but you're right. It doesn't matter. Whatever his motivation is, as long as that manufactures or manifests into goals or winning contests, which is the big one, obviously, I think you're fine, right?
Super important, yeah. Okay, so I'm thinking as somebody who is thinking, oh yeah, I should buy this card. If he leaves in January, does he likely go to the Prem? Does he leave England? And does he go somewhere where he goes back to not playing because that just happens sometimes? I guess January transfers tend not to be, oh, let's buy this young kid and sit on him for a while, but it does happen.
Unless you're Leeds United and you buy Jorginho Rutter. Laird, can you stop asking questions I can't answer? I'm getting pretty
sorry. I was going to use the word invested. I'm not really invested in Suleimana, but I'm curious because I own his card. As simple as that. Yeah. You can see my yellow dot there. Nobody's been dumb enough to buy since I bought. And so it's one of those, they see my name at the top and they're like, oh, okay, it's over then for But I also will say 36 L15 if he starts this weekend.
Oh, L15's rotten.
No, it's great. It's ideal.
No, rotten in a good way.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. Right, I'm just buying one now. Okay. £9.6. Southampton version Suleimana.
I'm just going to keep. Nope. And I see my friend Germ here, who is building a 2021 Ren Limited Collection, just picked up his card as well. Let's see how good the site is. Oh, still not there yet. Struggling.
Yeah. All right. Should we add this midfielder and forward cards, or is there not? I'm sure there is, right? Yeah,
he definitely has both. Does he have both for Southampton?
No,
I don't think he has. Yeah, I don't think he has midfield forward cards for Southampton.
You don't want those anyway. You always want the forward card. Yeah.
What did you buy, Laird?
That's a good question. Forward.
Imagine that.
I wasn't buying for the position down here. I was buying for the number up here.
Yeah, you need the forward card with this one, guys. The ball losses, possession losses will be, I suspect, will be pretty rough. But doesn't change much, does it?
No, it's like 2 AA. He doesn't play enough though.
Yeah, that's
per 90. I'm sure it's much higher.
Okay.
And as soon as he starts playing 90 instead of 21, we'll all be celebrating.
Okay. Right, got one. Limited Suleimana, £9.
There it is. Here, I'll make you feel better.
Is this the first card we all own? No, Dooland was. Is.
That was after the show. We bought, like, I bought all mine after.
True.
We didn't come in. I think this is the first live purchase on stream, though.
No, I've definitely bought someone else on stream.
I don't think we knew about it, though.
I can't remember.
I think we were still pumping him, and you were like,
I'm in. Yeah, I'm a nightmare.
Well, yeah. Thank you everybody for joining us. If you could please like, subscribe to Sorare TV. It's a ton of great content out there on this channel. And so subscribe so you can get it all. Mr. Trades, Mr. Tighe, thank you for all of those. And good luck, everyone, on your Suleimana purchases.